Alright guys, hope you're doing well. This is Rowlands here and I'm a nutritional balancing practitioner, and in this video I wanted to discuss the real pandemic that is happening in the world at the moment. It's like the giant pink elephant that's just sat in the middle of the room that no one really wants to discuss or talk about, but in reality this is the real problem that's going off. And I've sort of refrained a little bit from, doing videos on the theories behind what's happened with coronavirus. I've sort of took a step back a little bit. Obviously I've not been as active on YouTube, just kind of looking at things from a back seat somewhat, just seeing what's going off. And I feel like it's a little bit like 9/11, the early stages of 9/11, whereby no one really knew what was going on, and it took a few years to really understand exactly what is happening. But I don't really think it is necessary to figure out exactly what's going on, only to realise that there's some incredibly fishy things happening and a lot of worrying things happening. But in reality, this video is just talking about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is the poor general health of the population. Do you really think we'd be in this position now if people were actually healthy? If people actually had a good immune system? Here in the UK, and I'm pretty much sure all around the world as well, or especially in the Western countries, some of the top leading preventable causes of deaths here in England is heart disease, obesity, deaths from cigarette smoking, liver disease, mainly from alcoholism. I would probably put cancer up there with preventable deaths, but obviously, the medical community and the people that hang off every word that comes out of the government's mouth don't believe that cancer can be prevented quite easily most of the time by just having a healthy body. No one questions why 1 in 3 people are getting cancer now. I think it's even now, 1 in 3, especially on the NHS website in the UK. No one questions that. It's the same, no one questions the coronavirus problem too. No one questions the real pandemic of that. And it comes down to poor health. No one wants to speak about it on the news, but the vast majority of people that are dying from COVID-19 are obese, they've got heart disease, heart conditions, they've got 3 to 4 underlying health problems, and that's a large proportion. So I mean, what is happening with the world at the moment? Think it from a logical perspective. All the governments are reaching for is a vaccine. But why do the governments not give a toss about health? Everyone in England is talking about save the NHS, save the NHS. And they're saying the reason why we're in this position is because the NHS are underfunded. Before COVID-19 actually came about, the reason why the NHS is swamped is because of the pandemics we have in the UK with poor health, obesity, heart disease, liver damage. And what is happening? Why aren't the governments talking about this? Why aren't the governments banning alcohol? Especially in this situation, which is only going to make people's immune systems worse. Why are the governments just not putting a stop to cigarettes? That's going to save the NHS. That's going to save immune systems. And these are the questions that people need to be asking. And I believe that once you start asking these questions, that's when you start to sort of understand where a lot of these conspiracy theorists are coming from. A lot of diseases these days are quite easily curable, preventable from having a healthy body and a healthy immune system. We're not designed to eat junk food. We're not designed to smoke cigarettes. We're not designed to drink fizzy pops. We're not designed to eat the amount of sugar that we're eating. And you got to ask yourself some simple questions. Where is the real pandemic? Where's the real pandemic? You know, and I think that's really what people need to start thinking about and asking some serious questions. Why are we jumping straight to a vaccine? Why aren't they telling us about what causes a poor immune system? You know, I don't mean to sound harsh, but every time I watch the news and these people come on, young children who have got coronavirus, they're obese, and no one wants to discuss that. But that's the harsh truth. So that's really what I want this video to be about. I'll keep it short because I don't really feel like I need to explain it too much, and I feel like there's another whole, you know, discussion on why the governments don't do that, why the governments don't promote healthy eating, why the governments are not telling us about how to boost an immune system, keeping us indoors, you know what I mean, putting masks over our faces, keeping the junk food on the shelves, keeping, you know, it's alcohol sales and at home drinking and alcoholism have gone through the roof. Do you honestly think that's any good for coronavirus? You know, so when people are questioning the norm, when people are arguing, so-called conspiracy theorists, do you know what I mean? Just think a little bit. Who really gives a shit about the population? Is it the governments? I don't think so, because if it was the governments, we wouldn't be in this position in the first place, because they would have got a handle on all of these easily preventable diseases, and that's the reason why the current healthcare system is absolutely swamped. That's the reason why cancer rates are absolutely through the roof. That's the reason why 18,000 cancer screenings have been cancelled, because the government are so worried about the NHS getting swamped. They're already swamped. Do you know what I mean? But they're not getting swamped for a start. You know, 60% of the hospital is 60% capacity in the hospitals. The Nightingale Hospital down in London hardly had any people turn up. You know, so this is the problem now. The hospitals aren't getting swamped; they're quite empty. So why? What's the excuse? Why are we keeping shut down? So really, start asking yourself these honest questions. Are you keeping healthy? I find it quite ironic how people say to me, "Lewis, you're putting other people at risk by going out, by doing this, by doing that," whereas they're sat going to, you know what I mean, they're sat home drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, eating junk food, you know, and then going to a supermarket with 100, 200 people, 100, 200 unhealthy people there. That's where that's where it's going to spread. It's not going to be spreading with me. You know, I've got a healthy immune system. I look after myself. You know, if I get the virus, it's gone straight away. Don't even worry about it. So yeah, hope you can ask yourself them honest questions and ask, do the government really care about us? You know, when you jump down that rabbit hole, you'll realise, do they hell?